Oh, man.
How you doing, brother?
I'm alright, man. Just tired. But here we are.
That is a perspective I more than appreciate.
And I appreciate this theme that's currently playing from Dying Light. Definitely a good game.
Ah, okay. It's an appropriate soundtrack.
Definitely.
I've got a handful of kind of atmospheric, dark, royalty-free audio tracks on my phone. I should probably do at some point so that we can use those and absolutely make certain that YouTube's bullshit terms of service and community guidelines will not see us booted. Though I suspect I'll face my own
when it comes down to
problems
something like
with you
this, I don't think they're really going to worry about it too much. I've noticed like a lot of big tracks, like main like music tracks, they'll freak out about. But like the soundtracks I play,
right,
like from games,
the more
yeah,
probably because it's a little bit more esoteric. So because there's
Yeah.
not as large a cash cow attached to it, they tend to leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, do you want to go ahead and do an introduction spiel, or shall I?
I'll hand it off to you, Byron. I feel you got the caliber over me.
Nah, no worries. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to a deep dive into the SCP Foundation featuring Brother Cortex and yours truly, ByronOfSidius, amateur mythologist and storyteller. Today we're going to be looking at a heavyweight bout between two of the... Well, I do what I can. I appreciate that. Compliment. Good morning, So good morning, Lee, and anybody and everybody in the chat, and who will be coming back later on and watching this live presentation in replay format. Welcome to you as well. Today we've got lined two heavyweights in the SCP Foundation's broad and ever-expanding Creative Commons mythology. We've got SCP-106, the Old Man, standing in the blue corner. In the red corner, we've got SCP-096, the Shy Guy, who's not too shy about digging his claws into your face and ripping your arms off of your body and using them to beat you over the head the rest of the way until you are finished. This is a mighty matchup between titans of terror, the likes of which we have a long-standing tradition of in the cinematic field. If you look back over the course of cinematic history, we have such prime examples as Dracula versus the Wolfman. We've got Frankenstein's monster versus Dracula. We've got Godzilla versus Mothra and the various creatures born out of Japanese kaiju mythology and the cinematic
or King Kong.
Right, you've got Godzilla versus Kong, a much more recent example. You've got Freddy versus Jason, and even the much ballyhooed but absolutely awful Alien versus Predator. when you look back historically, we have numerous examples of creatures of great lore coming together and butting heads
Eh,
over who gets
I
to
think the movies
terrorize the
sucked, but the
populace.
games were not too bad.
Oh
The
yeah,
movies
I
to
haven't
me,
played the game.
yeah, the games are pretty cool, but like the movies, nah, they're trash.
I'm not surprised. We've even got in
Um,
sci-fi, we've got RoboCop versus Terminator. That was a terrible Super Nintendo game, but it was
I know
still
what you're
kind of
talking about.
fun to play at the time. Yeah. Oh my god, it was god awful. In mythology, we have other examples historically. We have in Japan, there were several popular tales of oni, or demonic ogre like creatures, going head to head against regional kanshi, or poltergeists, when these two spirit like creatures would try to dominate feudal territories or family plots that had long been protected by guardian spirits. If bloodline ceased to be, such as if the last male of a particular bloodline died out, the family property would become inhabited or infested with spirits or poltergeists. However, this was contested territory for Oni, who also wanted to take over and dominate the terrain since it was no longer occupied by mortal residents. In Native American lore, we see skinwalkers, various multi shaped shapeshifters going up against Wendigos in some of the more popular Ojibwe and tribe mythologies. Some of these tales are absolutely terrifying in their scope and often centered around the concept that the Wendigos did not want humans around at all, whereas skinwalkers wanted to draw human prey into their territory in order to feast upon them. So it was a kind of a battle of wills of, well, we want humans here so we can eat them. And the Wendigos saying, no, we don't want humans around at all. They poison our territory. They infest the land with disease. We don't want them. Bugger off. In Celtic mythology, you have the very popular Seelie court of Fey folk versus the
Quick
Unseelie court.
question:
Though, sure.
the Wendigo, isn't that normally a result of cannibalism? Isn't it like a curse that's passed down?
Dependent Yes, dependent upon the source of lore. In particular, in Western and Mid American Midwestern Native American folklore, Wendigo were once human beings who were corrupted by spirits, wicked spirits in the land that infested a human mind and caused them to feast upon their fellow man. That was part of what caused some of these Wendigo to not want humans around. Is some sliver element of their humanity remains within the creature. Basically, we don't want to victimize any more of the people who we once were. We don't want to be
Mm.
tempted that way. Whereas skinwalkers are like, no, fuck that. We like playing with these things. They're like cats. They like to tease their prey before they rip them apart and eat them. And in Russian lore, finally, we have trolls in many older Russian mythologies actually ended up having an antagonistic relationship with werewolves. Because even though trolls were said to be these giant rock like earthen uh, demons or monsters that traverse the lands in order to destroy humans and grind them up and to devour them, werewolves in Russian mythology are actually protector entities that try to defend humanity against creatures of darkness. Their perspective on lycanthropes is much different than our typical Western world perspective of werewolves. I think this is largely born out of the historical view of the Russian people
How's it going,
to
Neville?
say that wolves are an aspect of their territory and they're part of nature and the natural world. And in order to have a balance with humanity, they stand as our protectors against the unnatural creatures that make darkness and the night their domain. Greetings, Neville. How you doing?
Yeah, the Wendigo and the Skinwalker. I feel like that's the one that's the most like misconcepted, I guess. If that's a proper terminology. Like
It's
everybody
the most
thinks
misperceived.
the one's the other, you know what I mean? Like they always confuse the one over the other.
Yes, and a lot of that's because in the traditional mythology, you have a lot of crossover of facets of these creatures in their physical presentation and the hunting methodology of them, how they victimize their prey.
Yeah, I've seen all the memes on like TikTok. It show like SpongeBob like literally like shivering behind a tree, and there's like a makeshift or like a shape-shifted version of them walking around the woods, calling out their name.
Oh yeah, like Squidward, but when he
Yep.
opens his head, there's like tentacles spraying out of it.
Yeah.
SpongeBob's just like,
I don't want to be ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to be devoured. Cthulhu
Yeah.
Fatagan.
Yeah. It's just like it's either that or it's like Squidward just shaking. And it's like the naked version of him running around out like the naked version of him like running around out in the woods with like his shower cap.
yeah. Don't worry, it's just an eldritch horror from the seventh dimension of space.
Hold on. I could find it real quick.
Sure.
What the hell?
Now, Neville, I thank you for the thumbs up on the video that I uploaded a short bit ago to my YouTube channel and to my Rumble channel. I am fully expecting I'll get either a handful of nasty comments or a message from the folks at Google/Alphabet telling me, now, you said naughty things about someone who we are staunchly in favor of defending and protecting from any kind of criticism. So we're going to go ahead and remove your video or give you a strike. Quite frankly, they can piss off. I would have said nothing. But then this individual had to go and say something absolutely brain dead. I
feel like I
appreciate that,
I feel like I posted it on not on YouTube, on Discord at one point or another.
I think you did. That's why I'm
Just
familiar
like
with the meme.
Here we go. Here's a good one though. At least hold up. It's not the same one, but it's still pretty good. It says, "Me who hasn't slept or left my house in 5 days, watching the abomination who took all of my family, friends, and neighbors away, prowl the streets at night looking for other survivors." You got SpongeBob or no, Squidward just staring away at it.
Probably the worst time to play his clarinet.
Probably. Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
It's a good one. Like I said, I appreciate that, Neville. So, shall we?
Did you change jobs or different shift, brother? No, still same job, my guy. Yeah, why do you ask? I just haven't been on lately. Been super tired. I'm sorry, Byron, I didn't mean to cut you off though.
No, not a problem. I was pretty much done.
Okay.
As far as as far as you're having to take a sleep day yesterday, just understand, folks, that everybody has kerfuffles, and Cortex needed to take care of himself. He needed to get some rest. And part of the reason that I don't come on here and do those shows solo is because that is not the intention. This is material that we have agreed to do together, Cortex and I, as a collaboration. It is intended for the two of us to share our thoughts and kind of compare and contrast. It's not quite the same to have just a single person sat here and doing the show. It wouldn't be the same. We are hobbyists who are enthusiastic about the SCP Foundation and the various horrors thereof.
Mm-hmm. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Neville. Yeah, I was gonna address that comment. Yeah, no, I never said that, and I'm kind of curious on where you got that from.
I'm wondering if he was actually thinking about the fact that I had recently changed jobs. If you're confusing your hosts, that's not unexpected. We're both standard Midwest white guys with, you know, strange setups in their homes.
Yeah. The hell? Oh my god. That's beautiful. This one says you open the door for your friend, and as you both sit down on your couch, you get a message from him saying, "Just got my car. I'll be in there in 20 minutes."
Yeah, that's when you nope the fuck out and find yourself a piece of silver somewhere in your home.
Yeah. That's good, Neville. I hope you do so. This one says, "Me and the boys going to challenge our local skinwalker."
Yeah. Here's how you challenge the local skinwalker. Go to United Airlines, buy a ticket, start a new life elsewhere.
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into. There's a specific video I chose to get to, which is by no other than SCP Illustrated. As you guys are probably familiar, we've covered some of this material with the SCP Foundation, and they do a very good job. They do voice acting and all that. It kind of adds to the whole plot and storyline, which ain't really too much of a storyline, but
really quick, Neville, that was me. That was saying that coming up in the next month and a half, 2 months, I'm going to end up being the one taking something of a sabbatical and break. And that's because my wife and I are expecting the arrival of our daughter in early to mid June. So there will be a while where I will not be presenting or on Rumble. And I'll post updates here and there on the Discord just to let everybody know what's going, things are going, and how the little girl is once we get her home.
man,
but without further ado, let us take a look.
Oh yeah, here we go, everybody. I'm gonna try to look for that video, but yeah. Nope, wrong one. I must have had a new button.
The following data release has been authorized by the following council members and administration staff. Site full site containment breach. Junior researcher Dr. Whittier. Recovery and recontainment note SCP-096.
SCP-096 has been successfully returned to its containment cell. A trolley system was required to return SCP-096 to its containment cell as it assumed the fetal position and refused to stand up. In the same corridor that SCP-096 was located, evidence of SCP-106's corrosive properties were discovered on the floors and walls. It is noteworthy that SCP-096 showed significantly elevated levels of stress when bypassing surfaces affected by SCP-106's corrosive properties.
The old man looked at the fallen researcher with a smirk. The meal crawled away from him slowly, whimpering as it did so. It stopped for just a moment to look at the old man, and the smirk turned into a wide grin that nearly reached back to his ears. This would be delicious. Then the door ahead of them opened. A pale, gangly figure plodded forward with unnaturally long arms raised to its face. The sound of crying was faintly audible above the whimpering of the researcher between them. The crying thing lifted its head and met the old man's gaze, and everything changed. The crying got louder and then became screaming. The old man let the emotions wash over him. Shame, pain, sadness, finally rage. The figure dropped its hands and then its jaw opened wide, then wider still. The old man caught the slight crackle of bone as the jaw distended and reached halfway down this creature's chest. The thing's eyes were little more than slits now. Tears streamed down its face and a scream echoed off the walls. It sprinted straight at him.
Man. The fact that the researcher was like on the ground and it didn't go after the researcher, but him. That's kind of nuts. What would you think that would like? What would you think the likeliness would be?
Actually, I think it would be high because the researcher, as denoted in the narration, was at that moment looking back at SCP-106, not at the Shy Guy.
Okay.
And
I figured maybe like, he would have heard it and looked back.
But that was not specified.
True.
096 only targets those who view his face.
Mm-hmm. Neville said yes, that was you. Sorry, Cortex. Okay, you're talking about Byron here?
Yeah, he was talking about my upcoming sabbatical.
It's kind of strange. I mean, then again, probably because the old man's still like a humanoid, quote-unquote, figure. That, I guess, given the...
Right, and... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, given like the sight of just a humanoid figure alone would, like, you know, cause the rage.
Yeah, no, its hunting mechanisms only seem to activate when its face is viewed. And what I really love about this illustration is how the old man's kind of got the "come at me, bro" arms out.
Pretty much.
The old man smirked and gave a slight chuckle before lifting his arms, as if about to embrace an old friend. The thing slammed into him with an impossible force. The old man felt the arms grab at him as it lifted him off his feet from the impact. The old man hit the floor and then sank into it. The creature loosened its grip as it sank into the floor as well. It tried to scramble away, but the old man plunged his hand into the creature's abdomen. Organs and muscle liquefied as he fished around for the creature's spine. Then the old man gripped it and pulled the creature down into the darkness. The old man smiled as he watched the figure.
Yeah, you're not getting away from that one, Shy Guy.
No, it puts me in mind of the classic UFC setup where a traditional striker gets too close to a veteran grappler and it just gets rolled up.
Mm-hmm.
It hit the stone floor of his dimension. It looked around confused and angry before returning to its docile form. The old man removed the floor beneath it and watched.
Oh, just forewarning, this will be gory.
It clutching frantically at the darkness. It fell onto jagged rocks that sliced into its skin. Then he crushed it between two walls before letting it come to a rest. It was on its knees, panting and bleeding, but alive. This thing was unusually resilient, but it was afraid. It was lost. It was ashamed. There was only one thing to do about that. The old man willed away the labyrinth and dropped the figure into a new hell. Razor wire stretched across the field and away to the horizon in both directions. Artillery flashed in the distance, and then again as the shots landed nearby in and around the trenches. Planes strafed those trenches with machine gun fire. The rain and hail beat the earth, flooding everything. There were bodies piled high along the trenches, some living and screaming for relief, for their mothers, for mercy. Fires burned and lightning snaked across the sky. The creature hit the earth with a wet thud. It tried to stand, and the rain caused the mud to slide off its form. The ground was rocked by an explosion, and it was thrown into a trench, landing with a splash in a mix of filth and blood. It staggered to its feet and began moving through the trench, crying as the rain scoured its skin. The old man willed the razor wire to wrap around the figure and pulled it taut. He watched in glee as the blood flowed freely, adding to the river of filthy water that was flowing in the trench. However, he heard no cries of pain. He waved a hand and the razor wire began whipping the figure on the back, tearing off layer after layer until the lengths of ripped flesh hung down to its knees, exposing the bone beneath. Still, no cries of pain. He released the creature.
Yeah. So this is what would happen to you if you were captured by the old man. Only he probably doesn't feel any of this.
No. And what I appreciate about this is that SCP Animated has incorporated what I suspect
Illustrated.
is part of the old man's backstory, or Illustrated has incorporated a component of the old man's potential backstory when we look at the young man mythos that suggests that he may have been a World War I or World War II veteran, that was the source point origin of the old man. It would seem that part of his extra-dimensional movement capacity has allowed him to capture an element of his own human or humanoid origins and turn that into a separate or secondary pocket dimension for the hunting and preying upon his victims.
Yeah, I believe that would be pretty much hell. Only his hell.
Creature which dropped to its knees and began crying again. This was not enough. Another bomb impacted behind it and threw it off its feet. The hard rain stopped for a moment as dozens of artillery shells exploded all at once around them. The creature's skin bubbled away and its blood boiled. It was still not enough. He dropped earth on it. He buried it under blood and bones and metal. The old man could see it pulling its way through the mud. Ghostly soldiers with no faces began appearing as the figure pulled itself free. They jeered and tormented the creature. They struck it with their rifles and plunged their bayonets deep into its body. The old man watched on as the charred flesh began to fall away, revealing fresh skin beneath. The soldiers dragged the creature up the walls of the trench and strapped it with razor wire to a length of wood. They flayed the skin from its legs, slowly making their way up, whistling the song "It's a Long Way to Tipperary." Each piece of flesh was tossed back into the trench, where it slowly succumbed to rot and maggots. The old man's eyes rolled back, and he raised a hand to the sky. Just then, a colossal bird made of feathers and bones and metal descended from the clouds and moved across the sky. A massive eye opened on the bird's stomach, looking down at the battlefield. Torrents of blood began to flow out of the trapped creature's mouth towards the eye, choking off the moans and cries. As time passed, more blood flowed out of its wounds, its eyes, and its fingernails. Lightning illuminated the makeshift altar, and the dark black and red fluid drifted lazily into the sky. The figure fell limp as the bird thing finally finished its passage. The old man approached the...
Yeah, I would not want to be there.
No, definitely not. And this puts me more and more in mind of a creature out of Clive Barker's Hellraiser mythos and the labyrinth of the Leviathan,
Yeah.
particularly with the razor wire being similar to the chains employed by Pinhead.
Yeah, to create the Cenobites. Or Cenobites, however you say that.
The Cenobites.
Is it Cenobites? I feel like I was trying to say
The
Cinnabons.
term is actually borrowed by Clive Barker. Originally, the term Cenobite referred to 10th and 11th century Franciscan monks. There was a subset order of monks referred to as Cenobites. They were warrior monks.
Yeah.
And the tie
Trying to
that
draw
Barker
another
made between them is
comparison,
that,
but oh, I'm sorry.
well, no, it's okay. Another tie that Barker made between them, and the reason he used the term Cenobites is that these warrior monks were among the first of the Catholic practitioners in the Roman Catholic Church who were known for using cat o' nine tails to flog themselves for penance. Hence the tie to the BDSM kind of self-torture and self-inflicted wounds often characterized by Cenobites in the Hellraiser mythology.
Yeah, there's a lot of the similarities of I'm gonna bring up Warhammer, of course, but the Drukhari, they're very similar in that fashion. When they imprison Imperial soldiers and whatnot, they'll use a lot of the same methods to torture and or convert. But yeah, really nasty stuff. All right. Well, let's get on with the old man torturing Shy Guy here.
The figure. It was barely breathing.
What's up, Jasmine?
The thing's taut, rotten
D-Libby.
flesh fell off it like
What's
wet
up?
paper. In a second, the old man was rising up through the floor of the Foundation facility once more, dragging the lifeless corpse of the creature with him. The old man dumped it on the floor and looked down. It was slowly starting to grow new flesh. New blood spilled from what veins had begun to heal. The thing had curled up in the fetal position, crying to itself. He kneeled in front of it, but the figure refused to look at him. The old man grinned widely once more and left it to its weeping. And that concludes.
And that would be SCP or SCP the old man versus Shy Guy. But I wonder though, do you think it would have sent Shy Guy back into our world after being bored with it?
I would almost expect that yes, he would, if for no other reason than the fact that what we have discovered here for the old man is effectively a form of prey that he could continually come back to if presented with the opportunity. A plaything that he could torture and feast upon the negative emotions of over and over and over again, because apparently it can regenerate and reform itself. This would render 096 effectively an eternal victim, if necessary, to the old man. The only problem I would see for the Foundation is that we don't know if this would be enough to satisfy the old man long term. It could be that you have a recurring opportunity for sacrificing something or someone to the old man in order to placate his whims and his desire to routinely feed upon or prey upon humanoid victims. However, because remember, in our original examination of 106, part of the containment procedures is that someone is sacrificed to this creature on a semi-routine basis in order to pacify it temporarily. The thing is, though, we don't know for certain if this is going to be something that can successfully be continued or repeated over and over again. If we look at the 096 scenario, wherein a researcher was basically sentenced to die the moment he discovered a way to do away with 096 permanently, what this scenario does is it shows to us that even if he had the imagination to think, I know, let's subject 096 to 106 to exterminate or terminate this SCP, as we can see from the conclusion of this story, even that is not a permanent solution. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. All you've managed to do is a temporary and possibly repeatable solution to maintain the containment of 106.
I was trying to think here. So the last one that we went off of was Shy Guy, and there was the video of potentially disposing of Shy Guy. Would you want me to go ahead and put that up?
We could go ahead and replay that one. I would briefly like to posit one other potential adjustment to this scenario if we were to present it. In the 106 documentation for containment of the old man, we were informed that he had aversion to lead and to lead-based paints, that they apply lead-based paints to surfaces in order to cause him to kind of shy away from them, to not interact with lead. What if we have a researcher who decides that they're going to sacrifice a potential victim to 106, a D-class personnel, took a picture of a photograph of 096 in his pocket, so that once the old man draws the Shy Guy into his pocket dimension, the D-class personnel is informed or given one final instruction, perhaps a hypnotic suggestion, that upon being approached by 106, he pulls out the photograph and shows it to him. The Shy Guy is released and unleashed to go try and hunt down 106. However, you would have blindfolded personnel who, as soon as they hear Shy Guy breaking his containment, utilize some kind of pump mechanism to spray him down with a coat of lead paint. Would the old man still want to open arms and accept the embrace of 096, or would that cause a bit of a kerfuffle and a disruption of the properties of his acidic enzyme?
Yeah, I believe he would have a lot of trouble trying to take in Shy Guy into his pocket dimension in that case. He probably wouldn't want anything to do with him.
There's ways to adjust the experiment, and it's horrific that I would think that way, but if we put ourselves in the mindset of members of the Foundation and researchers, this would be an excellent tweak to put in there, just for experiment sakes.
It says the death of SCP-096. I'm going to check out the chat here for a minute before we go ahead. Scuba says, what if lead-based paint is the reason that they all went nuts? They don't. Wait, what?
I think effectively what she's saying. Well, what if the lead-based paint is why these Foundation people go absolutely crazy? Because they're sitting there licking the walls.
Probably.
With D-class personnel, you never know.
Yeah, D-class personnel tend to be kind of on the unhinged side. Well, here we go. This is a continuation from the last Shy Guy SCP-096.
The confidential data release of this SCP has been authorized by the following council and administration staff. Previously. Upon reviewing your testimony and available footage and the confession of the late Dr. Alexei, it is the unanimous agreement of the O5 that you are to be terminated for your part in the gross breach of SCP-096. Given the incident's scope and potential, the O5 have approved your request for the termination of SCP-096. Given the lack of personnel with understanding of SCP-096, the termination will be entrusted to you. 6 months later. 27. There have been 27 attempts on SCP-096's life in the past 6 months.
27 attempts. Oh boy.
All directed by the man who set him free, Dr. Daniels. Daniels, for his part, has spent the last 6 months in a cell. On a good day, he is escorted to the test chambers to oversee an attempt, and then back to his cell. His termination has been delayed in order to allow him to oversee the destruction of SCP-096. But the O5s are losing their patience. Dr. Daniels is a condemned man, but if all he can do is fail, well, they have plenty of other people who can handle this project. He has a month left. Regardless of his results, at the end of that month he will be terminated. These are his last days, and last attempts to take SCP-096 with him. Dr. Daniels and Dr. Carver's conversation. Did it work?
682 skinned 096 and dissolved his flesh with acid. The bones were not affected, though. It's actually quite astounding.
Yeah, he's a real miracle.
Perhaps you can treat this with a bit more seriousness.
You know they're going to kill me once we get this right, yeah? I think a little sarcasm is a small price to pay for my sanity.
You killed hundreds of people. These are the consequences.
I didn't kill anyone. That thing killed them. I just showed you what was possible.
I feel like we're getting off topic.
Fine. Wait, the statue.
What are you talking about?
You said its bones were still intact. Breaking bones is what 173 does.
You want to cross and test with an object you can't look at, with an object you have to look at. The logistics alone would be...
Do you think it's a bad idea?
Appreciate the love, Scuba.
I think most of what you say is a bad idea. This is perhaps one of the more promising ones.
The presentation. Dr. Daniels stands at the center of a large room. The tension in the room is palpable. Dr. Daniels can almost feel the hate of the scientists.
I'm getting like a The Thing vibe from the music a little bit. I don't know if you can hear it. It's kind of like the theme.
John Carpenter vibes.
Boom, 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 boom. Yep. Definitely John Carpenter vibes.
Agents and command council members when they glance in his direction. Regardless, he takes a step back and motions to the screen behind him. SCP-096 has proven much more difficult to destroy than we previously had considered. You've been briefed on our previous attempts. As he speaks, the screen behind Dr. Daniels flips through numerous images of SCP-096 as seen from behind. Each shows SCP-096 with various amounts and types of inflicted damage. Fire, radiation, kinetic force. Our most recent test involved SCP-682 and it was also unsuccessful. In every test,
Regardless of the damage dealt to the rest of it, SCP-096's bones survive unscathed. An image of a broken drill bit appears on the screen behind Dr. Daniels. We've even attempted to drill into the skull through the ocular sockets, but have been unsuccessful. Every single test has shown that SCP-096's bones are completely indestructible. There is a pause, and then an image of a broken vertebrae appears on the screen. Until yesterday, a small murmur rises from the crowd. SCP-173 was exposed to SCP-096 and successfully broke its spine into 2 pieces between the 4th and 5th vertebrae. The image of a hole ripped into the side of a metal wall appears on the screen behind Dr. Daniels. Now, of course, after 5 hours of having its neck snapped, things went a little sideways, but recovery was accomplished fairly quickly, and you are now 1 step closer to being able to punish me. Congratulations. No one laughs. Termination. Dr. Daniels screamed at the agents from a nearby observation room as they connected a pipe to the now broken and open bones.
Hold him!
SCP-096's marrow spilled slightly around the edges of the pipe as the hooked nozzle was latched into place. SCP-096 screamed and flailed as the pipe began to pump hydrofluoric acid directly into both the body and brain cavity of the monster. Acid bubbled out of the creature's mouth and the bag they'd placed on its head smoked before dissolving away completely. The thing's face, at once terrifying and pained.
Ooh. What would you do at that very moment? You see, like, I mean, like, even then, like, what would you do? Like, I don't even know if you could not look away from him.
It's sort of similar to the rubbernecking phenomenon where you just can't pull your eyes away from what's happening in front of you.
Right.
It's like, okay, this thing that has terrorized us and been seemingly immortal is finally showing evidence of being vulnerable.
Right. And the fact that they used the statue, aka Peanut, aka SCP-173, to do so. Yeah, it's
right. And here's something that's amazing is we've managed to find a scenario that includes all 3 of the SCPs we've already covered.
Scuba.
This is fantastic.
Scuba's like,
bro,
you
good?
Bro, you good?
You good, bro? You ready to hang, bro? Oh wait, your face is melting, bro.
Was melting away before their eyes.
Imagine pulling up
The agent's
Tinder and
attempts to
that's
keep
the
it pinned
profile
down.
pic.
That sounds like a good idea.
Now failed completely. It reached its hands up
Turn
to cover its
on.
melting face.
Playing people
The face
alive,
they had all
ripping
just
off
looked
body
at.
parts. Turn off.
A single
People
voice
look at
called
my
out from the opposite side of the room
face.
from the agents surrounding SCP-173.
Blinking.
Then a low gurgling scream began in SCP-096's throat. It rose in pitch and volume gradually until it was a deafening screech. The agents let the thing go and moved to the walls. Other agents moved slightly closer and leveled their weapons. The monster's skin began to fall away into a puddle on the floor. Its gut began to burst and acid flew out in small spray in all directions. The agents had facial protection from the acid, but nothing to protect them from seeing its face. SCP-096 dropped its hands to its side. It looked up at one of the agents, reached out, and began to run. The agents opened fire. For the first time, and perhaps the last, bullets sank into the thing's body and bones. The first volley shattered the collarbone and threw the monster onto its back. It tried to get up, but the fire continued. They fired methodically up and down its body, starting with its legs and ending with its shattered, dissolving head. When they were done, there was nothing left but a pool of acid, gore, and rage, spreading slowly across the containment floor. A voice called out again.
Blinking.
The agents at Dr. Daniel's sides each grabbed one of his shoulders. A third put him into handcuffs, and they led him out of the room. His task was now complete. And there we have it, everyone.
Wow. That would be a very effective way of taking care of Shy Guy.
Indeed, this is the application of known mythology with regards to the capacities and abilities of two separate monsters and how they could be applied to doing away with a third monster. Though we more than anything have, it seems to me, more just two monsters. They use Peanut 178 to accomplish what could not be done by other creatures in containment. 682 being the very hard to destroy reptile, itself a possessor of seemingly infinite regenerative capacities, was not able to break the bones of 096. And the application then of 173, whose entire existence seems to be centered around crunch. If you recall, its entire methodology is to break bones. This is the summation of utilizing this foundation's operational resources, their knowledge set, and applying them to a problem that belongs within their own containment boundaries. So this was, Dr. Daniel, as much of a monster as he is, if we take this story as presented, finally discovered a way to make a beneficial use of one monster's capacities in order to neutralize another monster.
And looks like it was very effective, considering the bone structure is exposed.
Right. It's almost like as soon as they had one narrow opening, one gap in the armor of 096, they exploited it. They moved in swiftly to exploit it and amplify that exploitation into its fullest possible use. As soon as the bones were weakened, they finished the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have kept shooting. I would have kept blowing piece and piece. Yeah, I would have kept blowing piece by piece off of Shy Guy there. Especially since his whole body was like bubbling and falling apart right from that. I think that was more horrifying the original form.
Right, just that melty face that made it look like an orangutan that had like mustard gas thrown in its face.
This is your brain on drugs, and that's not necessarily crunch, guys. No, it's definitely not. That's your spine and or neck being broke. Nope. Oh, wasn't trying to do that. We also have the death of SCP-173 as well. If you want to give that a go.
Oh, so figuring out a way to do away with 173. I'm curious, I must admit.
All right, well, without further ado, here we go. Oh.
The following data release has been authorized by the following council members and administration staff. Site 17 Maintenance Report. Task: to determine the reason as to why MTF and technicians were unable to remotely close the door to SCP-106's containment cell. Analysis: considerable damage was done to the main power generator during the containment breach. The presence of bullet holes suggests either sabotage or accidental damage during MTF cleanup. A bullet impacted the main power line to the kettle wing, causing power arcing leading to intermittent power failures to many systems.
The delay in the door closing is either due to the power failure from the main generator or from the system attempting to redirect power from the backup generator. Resolution. The generator is currently being repaired. Necessary parts are being...
I'd say BS. There was definitely sabotage. Definitely a saboteur in the works.
Oh yeah, inside job. Either a member of the Chaos Insurgency or a member of the GOC who managed to slip into the ranks of the SCP Foundation. Because, as we have alluded to before, the GOC is not in the business of containing these creatures and these anomalies. It's in the business of destroying and eliminating them.
Right. I think I'd be more on their side than the SCP Foundation.
Oftentimes I find myself thinking that too. Like the Global Occult Coalition is not interested at all in continuing academic study or extrapolation of future technologies development based upon the anomalous entities throughout the known SCP universe. They're interested in finishing these things off and neutralizing them, which I find myself kind of sympathizing with.
Yeah, I was going to say from like a moral standpoint, I could definitely sympathize with them. I mean, really, why would you want any of these things living?
being transferred from site. It will be operational again in 1 week. The backup generator will be sufficient should the main power line fail. Senior Engineer. There was a
Snap, crackle, pop.
crack over the site-wide intercom system, a low whimper that built into a beautiful scream. And the old man tilted his head to the side. They were playing his song. He could tell there were notes of fear and anger in that scream. A well-seasoned meal. The old man disappeared into the floor immediately. The researcher he'd been chasing made it into the waiting arms of the rescuing MTF, with a story that she would tell for years. The old man came up from the floor into the chamber with the screaming man. If the old man had been paying attention, he'd have recognized the place as the containment cell he'd escaped only hours ago. He'd have noticed that the door was open for the first time in years. But all the old man saw was fear strapped to the table. The old man grinned widely, his eyes wrinkling as he did so. And then the scream was cut short. The old man stopped and opened his eyes, and there, in front of him, was a collection of concrete blocks in the shape of a man with a painted-on face. The arms were wrapped around his meal's head, which was twisted at an unnatural angle. This thing had just interrupted his dinner. The old man finished emerging from the floor and felt an emotion he hadn't in a long time.
Appreciate the love, Jasmine.
Rage. Then the door slammed shut, and the whole room began to hum as the generators kicked back on. They were being magnetically lifted into the air again. He was trapped, here, with no food but the stubby-armed man. As the machines outside began to apply a layer after layer to the outside of the cell, the old man slowly walked over to this interloper and raised a hand out to its face. His hand didn't pass through it as he'd expected. This wasn't flesh, it was hard like stone. And worst of all, he felt no fear from this thing. The spray paint bubbled away, but it still stood there, impassive, uncaring, staring into nothing. The old man turned away from it and looked around, and the thing was behind him. It twisted his neck. The old man's neck snapped and he screamed. He turned his head around to look at the thing without twisting his body. Still impassive, still uncaring. He pushed his hand through it again. The concrete resisted him but gave way eventually. When he passed through, it was hardly damaged. Again and again, he passed through it. Again and again, he'd make the mistake of looking away, and it would break another bone. They'd knit back together.
Interesting. I'm kind of curious though, like considering what happened, what we had just seen with Shy Guy, like it's not even really like phasing the old man. I mean, it is, but not in the sense of actually like damaging him.
Right, he is experiencing injury, but as we know from prior lore, injury to the old man is never permanent, much like SCP-096 and 682, the hard to
682.
destroy reptile.
Yep.
682. There's a regenerative property. We've never seen or heard anything about regenerative properties for Peanut, though. Just that he is sturdy and largely difficult to damage. But over a long enough course of time, I would suspect that if you eliminate all of the tangible physical material, there's nothing left.
Right. Besides rebar, but not only that though. I mean, especially when they had the Keter event and he was multiplying.
Right, the XK class scenario.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
Together on their own, eventually. But the pain was real, and eventually, the fear was real too. The old man started to cringe away from the inevitable break, but as days turned into months, the concrete that made up the statue slowly broke down, crumbling away to reveal the rebar frame underneath. Most of the concrete found its way into his pocket dimension as he popped in and out of the world. When he was done, he surveyed his work, staring at it for hours. Its arms were just long pieces of rebar now, bent around the central frame. It wouldn't ever hurt him again. He began to slip into the floor, and as soon as he turned away, he felt the steel pierce his chest. He felt a rib snap clean in two. Fine. He'd destroy the steel too. Eventually, nothing was left but piles of dust, rust, and a memory of fear that the old man wouldn't soon forget.
Man, that was like more of a slower victim. Much slower victim.
Right, it required a great deal more time to contend with. We see in this instance that the old man is not taking joy or satisfaction from this victimization. This is more a killing of necessity.
Yeah, I heard about that too, Neville. Yeah, rest in peace, Jerry Springer.
Back in a moment.
Appreciate you so damn much, Jasmine. And likewise, I also appreciate you and Scuba. Yes, he died Thursday. Stuff of nightmares, quite literally. As we already know that the old man dissolves his victims and or pulls them into a pocket dimension and tortures them, or whatever seems to be the fate of his victims. Just know it doesn't end very well for you. Don't be making me blush. Yeah, I mean, definitely would not want to be the victim of the old man for sure. Love you guys so much. Ride or die for sure, Jasmine. And likewise. I'm loving the music though. Definitely loving the music.
And there we have it, everyone. That was the
Got
term.
that ethereal,
Yeah.
that ethereal, otherworldly quality to it.
For sure. Give me 1 second here. going Cortex. You really, really are an amazing, beautiful, kind, fine souls, and there aren't enough people like you. I appreciate that, Jasmine. Okay. We could crack straight into another SCP if you'd like.
We certainly can. Thank you, Jasmine, for the compliment. Did you have a
Sure.
specific one in mind to delve into?
I do, but you're not gonna like them. I know for
All
a
right.
fact you're not gonna like 'em.
All right. I suspect I know who you have. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed, because I'm just going to take a blind guess here, and I suspect I'm on the right path here. You may notice yours truly cringe a bit at the next presented SCP. And there's maybe not a very good reason, but there's a personal reason. And if I have my guess correct, I will explain why shortly after an image shows up. Because I suspect, and Cortex, you can lambast me if I'm wrong, but I suspect the person you want to bring up is a character in the SCP universe subtitled The Plague Doctor.
That would be correct.
Okay.
That would be correct.
Go ahead and pull up the image that you have in mind. I will try not to shriek. Maybe I should mute my microphone.
Oh man, I mean he is a creepy one, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Mind you, folks, I'm familiar with the lore of this SCP character, this creature. And it's not my bugaboo about him. God damn it!
He's gone. He's gone.
Fuck. Oh, all right. I have an aversion to certain blackbirds, ravens, crows, and blackbirds. I have an aversion and a heightened sense of apprehension towards these animals or anything similar to them. Some of you, actually most of you who are familiar with the fact that I am a schizophrenic. One of the longest standing visual hallucinations I have had since I was a much younger man is of a raven-headed creature dressed in a black and white checkerboard suit, complete with feathers poofed out of leaves and corpulent yellow talons for feet, a salmon pink button-up shirt under this coat, and a dark blue tie, affixed with a tie pin of silver in the shape of 4 hooked blue claws joined along their top by a solid black horizontal line. His eyes are all too human in their bloodshot sockets, and the grin that he greets me with is little else but a row of needles in his face, stretched from side to side of his beak in a gleeful rendition of a smile that says, "I'm going to eat you now." This fellow is Quoth, quoth the raven. I've been seeing quoth periodically since I was 14 years of age, and quoth is an unpleasant fellow. I know that he's not real. I'm well familiar with the concept, particularly when I am, as I'm right now, properly medicated. I'm aware he's not real. But there are times where I'm uncertain of that. It doesn't help that I have the curiosity to posit the concept that tulpas could be real things.
How's it
like
going, Raisin Girl?
Or a spectral or non-physical entity could manifest in any particular person's field of view. I've never tried to draw him or have him drawn, Raisin, because I don't want a physical visual representation of him around. That would not be pleasing to me. But as a result, I tend to cringe at anything with a bird-like face that reminds me of a raven, a crow, or a blackbird. I cringe, I flinch, because I have this innate association to a fellow who had tormented me since I was a teenager. However, I am not real, at least in our current paradigm of the known primary physical plane of existence, the prime material plane, to use Dungeons and Dragons terminology. I'm well familiar with that. But I can't help my reaction. It's just, it's there.
It's kind of crazy, the story on the whole beak mask, that what it was used for and its intentions back in the day during the plagues.
Yes, it was initially intended. The mask was initially situated with two breathable nostril ports near the end of the tip of the beak, and medical practitioners would use charcoal, these kind of charcoal lumps, as air filters to, quote, purify the toxins out of the air as they were breathing in. It's part of the reason
I've
why
heard flowers too.
Curved. Yes, that was flowers were used as a deodorant. The charcoal was thought to be a purifier for the air. And that's part of the reason why the masks were always curved very tight to the cheeks, to the face, so that it would be form-fitting. I'm familiar with the medical history and the rationale behind the construction of masks. But man, you'd think that folks would think better than to use a carrion bird's face when dealing with dying people.
What's good?
Like, did these people not have any sense? Did folks not have any concept or sensation of maybe this could freak people out? We're going to come.
I mean, he looks like a normal guy.
Looking. Oh yeah, totally normal. I know that guy from the pub. That's Ted. Ted over there's a good lad.
Yeah, I mean,
wicked darts. Get the fuck out of here, Ted. You're creeping me out.
He might be a little wacky, a little kooky. I don't know.
Just a touch.
Scuba knows what I mean by that.
Fuck this bird.
But no, actually, it's kind of crazy because I'm kind of like the total opposite. Actually, like, this is one of my favorite SCPs.
Oh, he is fascinating. He is absolutely fascinating. Like, I can't deny that the lore behind this particular SCP is intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, just his character alone is just, I don't know. There's just something about him. Like, I mean, I don't want to say too much because I'm gonna spoil it, but we'll get into his introduction here in a moment.
Yep.
Scooby, yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a friendly kind of guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's a right good fella. You know who else I heard was a great guy was Ted Bundy. I heard he was a fascinating fellow. Great conversation. Sorry. I indulge in hyperbole in order to deal with this shit.
Hold on. Before I even do this, I gotta bring it up. If y'all don't know who Sam Hyde is, I gotta introduce you to him. He's a pretty funny dude. If you don't know, I'm about to show you just briefly.
I know the name. He's a stand-up comedian, right?
Something like that.
Okay.
Hold up. Here we go.
I go through my day pretty normal. Like, I'm a normal guy. I'm a swell guy. I'm a nice enough guy. I'm a cool kind of guy. I'm a pretty groovy guy. But then I get a little sugar in me and I start to go cuckoo. Doesn't have to be much. This time around, it was two of Fiber-One brownies. Only 90 calories each, but they do the job. Do you know what I'm saying? They get me going. They get me riled up. A little cuckoo, a little wacky. Start getting me a little kooky. A little, loopy. Uh-oh. Hey, somebody put this kid in a padded cell. Get him a straitjacket. He's going a little wacky. A little kooky. He's off the walls. Bananas. Loco. You want me to stop. Isn't that wonderful? Well, let me just do whatever you say because it's your little fairy tale.
I can't.
Curious.
You're curious? What about?
Oh no, just an observation. I should
He's a
probably
little wacky, kooky.
look into this. Like he's presenting it almost in a 1940s, 1950s radio presenter kind of voice, the sort of thing that, hey boys and girls, are you interested in having a sugar high? Eat some Blammo Pops in the morning and start your day with a great big sugar rush. You'll crash in a couple of hours and fall asleep of class and get a ruler slashed across the back of your hand. But don't worry, the nuts try to keep you awake and aware for your education. New from Blamco.
Here's another one that's my total favorite here.
Hey, can I please get a medium black coffee and 2 ham and cheese croissants if you have any?
Oh, unfortunately, we're all sold out of the ham and cheese croissant right now. Can I offer you anything else?
Fuck! Hey, can I please get a medium?
that was I like that. That was such a human reaction. Because, and I'm ashamed to admit this, I've had those moments at drive-thrus. And I can remember one that was relatively recent. It was about a month and a half ago. It was just after I'd taken my son to daycare, and I was taking Monkey Man with me. I was going to go up to Half Price Books and grab a couple of books. And I swung by into Taco John's that is on the way there. And this was at about 10 o'clock. Now, they're supposed to have breakfast available at 10 o'clock. And I swung into the drive-thru and I wanted to get some, they're called potato olays. They're basically these little discus tater tots. They're salty and potatoey, and they're delicious. I love them. I'm a bit of a fiend with that shite. And I pull into the drive-through, and the girl gets on, and I say, okay, well, first of all, I don't know if I'm just being autistic or deaf or if my hearing is fucked up, but I'd like some potato olays. And she comes back, oh, I'm sorry, we haven't finished those yet. Would you like a breakfast sandwich? No, I want my potato olays. It's fucking 10:05. What's wrong with you people? And I just pulled around and away. No idea why I had such a psychotic breakdown moment for this poor girl who sounded like a cross between someone trying to speak through the traditional McDonald's drive-thru and a cyborg, but I lost my shit. And for no other reason than I wanted my goddamn fix of potato olays, and she was denying me. It was 5 minutes after when they were supposed to start serving the fucking things. All I could think was, bitch, how hard is it to dump some little pieces of potato in a fryer and give them to me when I pull around to give you my money? It was,
yeah, I never understood that, like the whole breakfast lunch transition. It's like you have the shit on hand.
Right. It was inhuman of me. I shouldn't have done it.
Right, but what I'm saying though, I mean, it's not like what I'm saying though. It's not like they couldn't take it out of the freezer and cook it up for you. You're literally going to give them money. Just give me what I want. I don't.
Right. Like, no, there's an arbitrary time where we're not allowed to go in that freezer. Motherfucker, I know you can, because your little buddy's sitting in the dining room, high as shit or hungover from the night before when they were out partying or playing video games until 4 o'clock in the goddamn morning. They're sat in that dining room right now, just going, dude, you gonna give me some free food? I'm fucking hungry and I'm hungover, man. My stomach hurts. I need to get some greasy, nasty shit in my system to clog my fucking arteries because I need to wake up for the day and go to my piss-ass job. Motherfucker, I know you have it in the freezer. Go and get it and put it in the fryer before I come in there and slam dunk your face in there, for God's sakes.
Oh. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Scuba Sam, I think Jasmine was talking about Racing Girl. I don't think they were talking about you. So this same individual I just showed on the screen, Sam Hyde, he just recently put up a reality show. And I highly recommend it. It's called FishTank.live. And he put like the most unhinged people all together. There were like 8 contestants. And it's in like a setting of you have control of all the cameras in the house that they're all staying in. They're all staying in one house for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. What could go wrong, Byron?
Oh, all kinds of fun nonsense.
Yeah, they literally have like different things. They're called fish toys. Mind you, the name of the show is called Fish Tank. Think about it. Sam Hyde makes sure that these people literally go through hell. Like Sam Hyde literally took rice grains from both jasmine rice and I forget what the other one was. 2 different rice grains, and he made them count out the white rice grains from the jasmine rice. And he was like putting them in like piles. He would change the lights into like red lights and stuff. With like one of the like piles that never had to sort.
Snap?
Yeah. He took one of the piles. So he took one of the piles and he slings it in this room with all the grains flying and bouncing off the walls and shit.
Just random.
And it's insane. Like these people are like all different.
Now, I guarantee you, if I were on a program like that, I'd probably be kicked out in about half an hour because I would react with the most insensitive, horrific epithets and statement of rage to be broadcast on television. I don't think I would last a day.
I mean, it gets worse over time. They're on like day 11. There's already 2 people gone out of 8 contestants.
I probably would have been among them.
They literally have
like,
Texas. So like when they're sleeping, they actually have like cameras in the bedrooms when they're sleeping, full audio. They even have speakers that play Texas speech when people donate money to Texas speech directly to them. Whatever they want. To some degree anyway. I mean, they have their own TOS on that, but it's not very guided. Like, you can pretty much say whatever you want to these people. And they're in every room.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't respond well to that. You've just seen how unhinged I can get just on a brief little prompt.
Hold on here. I gotta show this to you real quick. You're gonna be like, holy shit, when I show you this. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like touch up on it before we go to the other one real quick.
My role models is Jesus and probably Andrew Tate.
The fish tank is a fully monitored smart house. You live in the walls. You control the action.
If someone lied to me during the show, I would definitely talk to them.
8 contestants.
I'm fully vaccinated with 2 boosters. Left profile.
6 weeks.
We're definitely gonna have to team up and then kick everyone out. I like cover my ears and start screaming and have like an autism meltdown.
No privacy.
I've been in over like 100 fights. I could for real like scrap with anybody.
No phone.
The longest I've been without my phone, probably like a week or 2.
We heard what you said. We know when you go to the bathroom. And one winner walks away with $10,000. This is Fish Tank.
I don't think I have any questions right now.
So what are your thoughts,
No.
Byron?
My first thought, and this is going to sound really cruel of me. Where the fuck do they get these people?
That's what I want to know, dude.
Did they find the most disjointed, dysfunctional looking people they could find on TikTok or YouTube or Twitch and decide, you know what? Let's take a bunch of neurodivergent wackadoodles and shove them in a house together and see if their melty brain nonsense can survive in a house coexisting for 6 weeks. The person who sat there saying, I'm fully vaccinated with 2 boosters. As soon as I met him in that house as a fellow contestant, my first question would be, how's your heart doing? Does it feel like it's going to blow out of your fucking chest?
So I
Like
got to
one of
add
the
on to
creatures
that.
from Alien?
I got to add on to that same person about the boosters and the vax. Well, they just got a very unhappy, very unhinged, very what's the word I want to look for? Very disgusting form of exposure to their backstory of life. That same person was, I'm gonna just say, was involved with sexual conduct with an underage person and was booted off the show.
Booted from the show. So it didn't suddenly turn into a snuff film where someone put a double barrel under his chin and said, guess what?
No.
I'm
I was
not
trying to use the
condoning
right
or
wording.
endorsing or promoting violence. I'm just saying that soul need to be removed from the rest of polite society in a fashion that is permanent. And while that may seem extreme of me, I want you to remember I'm a nutcase. So don't be shocked.
That's very true, Raisin Girl, for sure. Yeah, no, it was like this person had some like books that were written by them, and they had some very distasteful quotes in their books talking about the right way to. I don't even really want to say the word, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, here's where I come into a
With
very
underage people.
weird kind of
The
yeah,
right
this is where I
way,
come into a
in their
very
own words.
weird kind of I have a bit of cognitive dissonance here because I am a large proponent of and defender of freedom of expression and artistic expression, and especially fiction. When it comes to shit like that and people saying, well, if it's fiction, you need to have the stance of defending it. If you're going to defend artistic expression in all of its forms, you need to allow somebody to have the ability to say these things and express them in an artistic fashion. And I appreciate that, Raisin. Thank you. Where I have a bit of cognitive dissonance with myself, and I recognize that it will seem like a giant leap into the territory of being a hypocrite. I look at material like the famous or infamous Russian novel Lolita, and I think to myself, this is not the kind of material that I would encourage people to read, or that I would say, here's something that you should take in and that you should accept and absorb into your worldview as permissible. No, but I do think it should be allowed to exist so that people can get an idea of here's how this person thinks. Here's how they process the world in front of them and how they go about existing in the world around them. I would prefer people to be armed with that knowledge and to know what kind of absolute deviance share the world in which they reside. It's better to have that information, that expression out there so you can say, hey, you think that that's a tremendous story and you want to live your life in accordance with the tenets thereof? You're a freak. Stay away from me and mine, or you're going to be met at my front door with a very sharp object.
Yeah, so this person was, if I'm not mistaken, convicted of that, allegedly, but I don't know the whole story. I just know there was a lot of like Instagram posts along with his books.
Right, without
book, rather.
specifics. Without
Yeah.
specifics, I am and
And
details.
they leaned into that direction, and it was very like, you're literally trying to steer away, but still hint at what you, I guess, involve yourself with.
Right, there's that fine line of delineation of, okay, are you saying these things as a narrative creative exercise, or do you actually ascribe to these beliefs and activities? Because exploring that kind of mindset as an exercise in trying to get into the mindset of another person, that's one way of handling examination. It's a matter of, okay, what can we extrapolate from this material? And what does that mean about you as a person? What does it say about you as a human being?
What's up, British Bulldog? Miss
Can
Log?
we then say, okay, you're free to think and say those things, but if you act upon them, you're done.
It's very heavily like encouraged and or expected, I guess, in a way. Like people are pretty sure because like they were like I said, this show they have text to speech. You're aware of what text to speech is, correct?
Text to speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, where like someone puts in a comment and then an automated voice reads the commentary aloud to the individual on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And
I've
they
seen
were
that kind of thing in a couple
referencing.
of other live streams.
It's in most like live streams you'll watch, like on Twitch, YouTube, if they're enabled, of course. But in this case, they were referring to a lot of things of him being a camp counselor and giving alcohol to underage girls. And have all these like different like points in his books talking about things. And then there was one point of him talking about kissing children. Yeah.
I need to go make sure my wood chipper is gassed up. Anyway.
Yeah. It was pretty sick stuff. It was some pretty sick stuff, though. And the way Sam High conducted himself, I'm surprised he conducted himself the way he did, but I'm thankful he did it the way he did to get him off the show.
Well, right, like there is a way to contend with such individuals in a civilized manner. To say something like, look, I appreciate that you are a living human being, and
I forgot about that.
Did what you did, and I want you to go away, though, because you are making people in this location extremely uncomfortable. They don't want to share a space with you. They suspect or are worried that you may still be a proponent of such activities, and they hold a deep-found and deep-seated resentment and distrust and disdain for you. And
it was more than just that,
people,
though. It was more of like a legality situation.
Right,
Being
because
a liability.
You're dealing with liability issues and safety issues, where it's like, look, you present a definitive insurance risk to us keeping you here. So I do apologize, but we can't have you around at this juncture. So you need to pack your stuff and go away. We're not going to provide
much nicer than he was.
We're not going to provide security for you once you leave the property. We're going to go ahead and inform the broader public outside of this property who and what you are and what you've done. Anything that happens once you're off our property, not my problem.
So they did take him to a bus stop, but after that, I mean, it's whatever happens to him. But yeah,
right. And I understand that may come
across as. I just want to point out, Scuba Sam brought up a point. When confronted, the only thing he had to say was, that was a while ago. And that is true. That was the only thing this guy had to say. I'm like, wow. I could play the clip if you want me to.
I have thoughts, and I'm not sure how much I want to risk your channel by expounding upon them. There is a way, actually, to put this. The whole, well, that was a while ago. Okay. Do you believe in the human soul? Because such activity leaves a stain, a permanent stain upon your soul. You cannot wash that clean. No positive act, no altruistic activity will remove that stain. What happened, happened. I am a forgiving person, but there are certain lines across which...
So that's the individual right there.
I can't.
You can't see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that person right there at the island, that's the person that did such things.
Jason Goldstriker in the building! Come on down, little fishies! Well, I got some reading I could do. If you want to hear some reading.
Is it Simmons' book?
No. I just keep excerpts. I keep excerpts of books that I like on my phone. I'm not a freak. All right? I mean, this is something I saved as an
might I add, yeah, they were put with the unplanned parenthood challenge, and they were given the medical grade babies to watch over for their challenge. Just to add some context. That's why they're all holding the fake babies. But all right. Oh, not to mention
Okay.
you got the sharks here. You got the bad shark, good shark here. Their whole role is basically to mess with the fish and do things like, create certain instances within the show that they have to deal with. But yeah.
Okay.
Inspiring quote.
That's kind of
Just
their
a heads
attire,
up.
I guess.
All right. Just a heads up. I'm running short on time, brother.
Oh, yeah. This will be really quick. I just want you to hear this part right here.
There was a counselor who worked for a camp for decades. Everybody loves him, but he got fired because he offered drinks to underage girls and allegedly raped her. Here's how to do it the right way. And I don't know, what is the right way? What's the, how does that go? You don't know either?
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say it was a while ago?
No, I don't think that's my book.
It's probably a hacker. Sexual harassment warning, like every culture there are customs when you hit on boys and girls. So does camp counselors who work at camp nowadays are mostly college kids from all over the world. Of course, they would expect a romantic experience. You got to do it the right way or you might get fired. What's that referring to? What does that mean? That struck my curiosity. That piqued my interest. It made me wonder. Questions popped up in my mind.
Yeah.
What could this be referring to?
That's fair.
What's this picture of this 11-year-old says into long legs? That made me go.
Oh, what the fuck?
I'm like, what the fuck's in arms? Okay.
Yeah, so
Why is it funny, bro?
yeah, I mean his whole demeanor was like he didn't even know what to say, but he said it was a while ago. Like, the fuck? Like, how do you respond like that? Like, oh, don't worry. Yeah, I'll take my trash out later on. It's no big deal.
Look, it was 7-8 years ago. I dismembered him in my bathtub. It was a long time ago. We don't need to dredge up the past. Sure, there's still stains on the porcelain, but you can still go in there and take a shower, spritz yourself up. It's no problem. All of the evidence has been removed or destroyed. I was acquitted of any and all charges. It's not like anybody's going to miss that poor drifter. And I only did what I needed to do to get that kidney. You still murdered somebody. Obviously, this is not an exact one-to-one.
So yeah, one of the contestants decided to mediocrely puke and or gag, and then he proceeds to get up and you'll see.
This is actually like hell.
But they're just still sitting there, no remorse.
Oh man. Well, Simmons, allow me to say something that you'll understand in your language. Okay. Translation: I'm kicking you off the show. Okay. Effective immediately, we'll be walking you out, taking you to a bus station in Fall River, and saying goodbye. Okay. You have 1.5 minutes to get your shit. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Can I sing a send-off song?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all I had to say about that. But yeah, you get the picture. I've been watching this pretty closely. Like I said, it's called fishtank.live. And it's been pretty interesting.
I have a certain thought pattern going through my mind right now
Me
that
too.
wants to ask, how did nobody, after hearing all of this, how did nobody in the room immediately say, don't let him get his stuff. Get him the fuck out of here right now. Let him grab his government-issued identification and let inform him that the rest of his personal effects will be mailed to whatever place they need to go to, so that legally you're covering your own arse and making sure you're not charged later on with absconding or abduction of his personal property, and telling him, for your own safety and everyone's peace of mind, get out now. Nobody made that move.
Oh no, he did afterward.
I understand that we want, and Raisin brings up a great point here with the that folks with a narcissistic personality complex tend to not want to adopt any amount of accountability for their previous actions. We all do things, but there's a scale, there's a differentiation, and I find myself curious. What made this individual think that that would never come to light? And this is different than one of my pet peeves, which is the concept of cancel culture. I don't tend to. I'm not a fan of the idea of dredging up someone's distant past and holding them in their current life accountable to the things that they said or did at the time.
Something like this I'll hold for the rest of their life. I don't care who they are.
Right. This is something different. This is, again, why I have a bit of cognitive dissonance, because while I, at the same time, don't want to hold someone's past thought pattern or behavior against them, there are certain lines across which you step. As soon as you step across that line, you're done as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no amount of excuse or, well, this person's neurology caused them to behave in X, Y, Z fashion. Sam Harris bangs on about this kind of thing incessantly because he is what is referred to as a predeterminist. He believes that the way in which we conduct ourselves as human beings in our day-to-day lives is not a product of our own sentience and will. He does not believe in the concept of free will. He believes we are programmed like wet robots from birth based on our genetic dispositions, the inherited traits we get from our mother and father, and the effect of our environmental factors upon us as we grow and develop.
Okay, but what about moral standpoint?
Thank you. I call bunk on the idea of exact hardline predeterminism, because
that's like me knowing the idea of it, but never acting on it, like most people that do know the idea of it.
Right. You understand that there is an ethical and moral compass that comes into play with every sentient being, that we determine how we're going to behave or respond to certain outside circumstances and stimuli. It is not a test of a person's individuality that they say, well, I am compelled, or I feel compelled to do this thing, therefore I am powerless to stop myself from doing it. No, you have the power. Every alcoholic or drug addict in recovery, every drug addict or alcoholic in recovery who says, I want to drink or I want to use this drug, but I'm not going to, they're making an active, conscious decision not to do the thing that's going to cause them a problem, that's going to make them divert down this line of behavior that is deleterious and destructive to themselves, their friends and family, and everyone around them. They're making a difficult choice to restrain themselves from doing the thing that they feel compelled to do. But because they have the ethical wherewithal and the self-governance to say, I'm not going to determine to do that thing.
Right.
That's what makes them a decent human being. What makes you a shite human being is if you say, I throw my hands up, I can't help myself. Motherfucker, yes, you can.
Apologies for getting off track from SCP, but yeah, I figured I'd bring this up because I've had such a
really sorry
huge
about it.
interest in it. Yeah, likewise.
about
But otherwise, I'm glad everybody showed up. I'm glad everybody's taking the time and, you know, the interest out of their day to come check us out and see what we're up to, especially with the SCP Foundation and many others that we're going to cover in the future. Byron, I know you're running out of time.
Yeah, I know that we had also talked about we are going to dive at some point to kind of take a sidestep into the Mandela catalog.
Oh yeah,
that is information. That's material that I really want to dive into as well.
Real quick though, I just want to show you his whole attitude when he was like being walked out the door. You're gonna be like, what the actual fuck? I promise. But Sam Hyde was just like, I guess, like, what's the word I'm trying to, pestering him like through the entire time he's packing his stuff. But yeah, here we go.
That's our show. That's the end of the show. We're heading home. We're going to Fall River to get the bus. Close. Eviction status incomplete. Eviction in progress. Door closing, opening. Practice. There we go. That's pretty good. Now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to take out the trash. Simmons, you're liability.
Oh no!
You're a legal problem.
I don't want to go!
You could have cost the meal on money. Goodbye.
Oh no! I don't want to go!
Make sure he makes it to the nearest bus stop.
Oh no! Brad,
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. But you heard him going, oh my God, no, I don't want to go. It's like you just got caught. And you're still trying to make a joke out of it.
I want to say something that's going to sound horrific.
Might have to leave it for Rumble, buddy. Because we might have to something like this. We might have to like tackle on like Rumble. I know.
Well, folks, you know me well enough. The folks who are here. I want you to know. I'm not normally like this. I normally keep all of these poisonous thoughts, the violent unpleasantness, couched inside of my own head. I try not to let that venom out through my mouth. That doesn't mean I don't think it. I'm just well aware that I can come across as a complete psychopath if I pull the ripcord and let loose with exactly what it is I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way I can describe it without using words in the moment is exactly what I just showed you there. Just
yeah. I mean, just the sheer fact of he's still trying to make light of it in a joke. Like, what?
well, the dark joke that went through my head there when he's saying no was, yeah, I'll bet that's what the girls you touched were thinking too.
Right.
Like, why didn't somebody at some point take one of those bottles of booze he was offering them and crack it over his fucking head?
I just completely splattered on my nose. Yeah. No, I was totally thinking the same thing. Or just break it and jab it into his neck, into his jugular.
I'd love to drop this guy in the middle of Amelia City. Just to have some fun with him.
But I couldn't believe that. I was in full disbelief right at the end when Sam had kicked him out. And he's just like, oh no, I don't want to go. It's like, really? Why are you saying anything? Just leave.
Right. I'm sorry, Miss Luck. I know that we tend to try to be upbeat here. We try to be positive. We try to be pleasant. We try to focus on our nerdy pursuits of things like the SCP Foundation and the various mythologies.
We're about to end
or
this
that-
anyway, Miss Luck. So this is something we kind of got sidetracked on. It's not our normal like program, so to speak, but we just kind of got sidetracked because I had remembered something that Scuba had said.
Yeah, I apologize, guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, I take blame for it. I brought it up, but still, it's not like I'm gonna. I mean, if I'm gonna bring something up, I'm gonna bring it up. But most of the time, what we do
Right.
here is mostly like SCP and probably Mandela catalog at some point. However far we're gonna go with the SCP Foundation, we might even take a break for a little bit, like a little while and a little bit, and then get back to SCP. Oh, you're good, Miss Luck. I mean, like I said, it's not our.
I mean, there's
stuff.
so much material
We're literally
to
about to end
contend
this.
with that we're gonna have to take steps aside here and there just to kind of break things up, because you've got the entire catalog of not just the creatures within the SCP Foundation, but then we've got the various organizations or groups of interest. You've got the singularity events that take place, like the Syncope Symphony. You and the House of the Worm. You've got unrelated but scatological events like AWCY, one of my favorite groups of interest, and kind of ongoing series of events.
Not your fault, Scuba.
Referred to as AWCY, also known as Are We Cool Yet, which is a group of artists who utilize anomalous materials or effects create anomalous artwork, which I find a fascinating concept that I could dive into at length on its own. But yeah, I think that this would be a good time to go ahead and say our farewells.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's going to be it, guys. We're going to hop off here. It's been fun checking out the SCPs, both the old man and or Shy Guy. Both very awesome creatures and or characters. But the next one we're probably going to be jumping into with the Plague Doctor, which will be a fun
Which
one.
SCP is he again? Is he 042?
SCP-049.
049. All right.
We don't hold anyone captive over here. No, we do not. Probably love you both. Likewise, we love you guys. Thank you guys for so much stopping by, hanging out with us, and tuning in. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it. If you like what you saw, please drop a comment down below. Don't forget to like and don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. But yeah, much love, guys. We are out of here. Take it easy, everybody.
Cheers.
Oh, hold on.